All right, welcome to AIM Golf Academy. You're watching this. This is a recorded class for today, and I'm going to be working through some pretty interesting movements. I was thinking about, we've done a lot of these sessions now, and they've been really cool. We've repeated some things, and some things have been new. I always try and come up with some really creative body movements that can challenge our bodies to tap into some new spaces and kind of go, oh, I haven't done that before. I haven't felt that before. I think it's, I'm just seeing a little something here on my screen. 1 second. Oh, I know what it is. It is the mouse. Okay. I think that, our bodies move best when we have a maximum or full range of motion of movement as much as we possibly can, depending on our body type, of course. So the more movement that we can create, the more even awkward type movements, if we can create them easily, then when we put it together, just regular functional stuff in life, it's pretty good. All right, now today we're going to get started with doing some cards, just some slow controlled movements, controlled articulate rotations. And then when we get to the wrists, I'm going to do a little bit of extra time on the wrist today, as I think it's going to make a bit of a difference. Now, the wrist is just one spot that we neglect, so we're going to get to that in just a minute. But for now, arms by the side, looking straight ahead. Let's just move a little bit on and off the bottoms of the feet. Let's get the feet flat onto the floor, and then we lift our heels as high as we can. I know sometimes the heels come out this way. You want to bring them to center and then come down and then lift your toes up. So again, heels go up, and if they start to flare out, just to try and avoid that, keep them in, and then come down and toes up. So we'll just cycle through a couple of those. And then we take the feet a little bit wider maybe, turn the feet out even a little bit, arms by the side, lift the shoulders up to those earlobes, tuck the head down, and then take a nice big deep breath all the way down into that belly space. Take a big breath, and then lower the shoulders and keep the shoulders down the whole time if we can. So we're going to turn now our head to the left, look up to the ceiling and all the way to the right side, turn the head to the right, turn the head to the left, look up at the ceiling when you do it, just a little right to left movement. Now try and get the ear as close to the shoulder as you can without lifting the shoulder up. Hold, then lift the shoulder up. Try and bring the two together. Keep that ear going towards shoulder, but lower the shoulder. Try and keep the left shoulder down. And switch the other side. So I try and drop as far as I can go. Then I lift the left shoulder up. Then I continue to push the left shoulder or left ear into shoulder. Drop the shoulder down, but drop the right shoulder back. We want to get that length on the right side. Good stuff. Now we lift the arms up and overhead. And we want to get the arms straight up without flaring the ribs too far open or extending the back too much. And then you're going to drop the arms down. The arms are straight. With elbows straight, I'm just going to try and lift up without leaning. So how far can I go? And again, come forward. Thumbs up, lift. Good stuff. And back down. One more time up. One more time down, just into shoulder height. And I'm going to bend at the elbows, and I'm just going to drop the arms down. If you can go pretty far, go pretty far. I don't have a lot of range. I have not bad range of motion, considering I've got an arthritic shoulder. But some of you can really go open, and as long as the ribs are not moving, try and keep that still. Move through the rotator cuff. And when you think you can't go anymore, you stop and go, okay, no, I can go more, and then you will. There's always that little bit more. It's about an inch, maybe not much more than that. And then you open up, and so I stop. It's like, okay, I'm done. Well, not really. There, a little bit more effort, and then I can open up. So that's where we gain that strength and opening up that range of motion. And down as far as you can go, and then just a titch more. There's always that little bit more, and one more to open it up. Okay, good stuff. We're going to bring the arms down. Okay, this time the left arm goes up. Okay, let's do a little bit of a side stretch actually. We're going to hold on to the right wrist. And with both feet planted, I'm just going to tip a little bit over to the left side. I'm not dipping forward, just standing straight, and it's just this little side tip. Look up, and that'll avoid the neck from dropping down. So look up, chin up. Nice big stretch here, and then I'll come back to center and switch the wrist grip, and then go to the other side. Okay, now we're going to play with this a little bit. You're going to come back to center, switch the grip again. So this time the right wrist, yeah. And I'm going to come to the side and forward and do some circles with these straight arms. Then I'm going to try and lean a lot and then do a big sweeping circle behind me. There's no right or wrong way to do this. There's just a way. It's just a way. It's a circle. And I'm trying to create a circle and at the same time creating sensations in my body that feel pretty good, even though it's challenging to do. And then I'm going to go the other direction. Try and move as much as you can and do it really slowly so we can tap into full range of motion. Okay, one more here. And then you're going to come back through center. Okay, just drop the arms and take a quick break. Now, what we're going to do next, kind of cool, we're going to play with varying leg positions here, foot positions, to see how we are with our balance. Let me just change the angle 1 second. Let's see a little bit better. Okay, we're going to challenge the balance. So you're going to cross the right leg over the left. Lock your thighs together. And this time I'm going to hold on to the left wrist, extend the arms straight. I'm going to tip to the right, and then I'm going to start to do that same big circle and try and maintain my balance and still do as big of a circle as I did before. Whew. And this starts to move into all kinds of interesting spots when you do this. Really slow, lean forward, bend forward, do a circle, come back up. We require core muscles to hold us in this position while we do these big upper body movements. So you want to lean forward, challenge this body weight moving around. And then we go back to center, and we'll go the other direction. Still with the same leg crossed this way. I'm shaking a little bit here, just trying to keep myself balanced. So a very simple type of a movement, but very effective to challenge the balance. And then back to neutral. Drop the arms. I'm going to switch legs and switch grip. Left leg over the right, toes face forward. Excuse me, lock your thighs in. Hold on to that right wrist. Press tall. Then you're going to lean to the left. And then do that circle. And then I'm going to go to the other direction. One more. Control the movement through the entire range of motion. And then back to center. And we release that and let it go. Okay, nice job. We can get really funky with this. We're going to do one more that I think is also very, very effective for balance and core control. We're going to lift the right arm up and take the arm behind you. You're just going to try and drop your hand so the forearm is in line with your spine, and then you're going to hold on to the right elbow. You're going to notice what's happening with your body here. If the head is pushing it forward because the arm is super tight, you just try and do the best you can to stand tall. Elbow points up to the ceiling, and then we're just going to tuck it back in a little bit. And then I'm going to start to do those circles again. And sorry, my AirPod's falling out, so just keep going there. We don't have time to do it, but the other, once we do this, is the other one is to also cross legs with this same elbow grip. And I'm going the other direction, but when I lean forward, my AirPods fall out. I don't want to lean too far. Okay, one more. So we do about 3 per side, right? And then we come back to center. And just for fun, I think I will do that one leg crossed anyway. I'm going to pick my more challenging side, this one. So cross whichever leg you want. It's all challenging, so it doesn't matter. Just one over the other. And then this time I'm going to grab my left wrist. And now I'm going to see if I can tap into that circular movement. Can I go a little or can I go a lot? And that, you know, like what does that even mean? A little or a lot? Like it can all feel like a lot. So, a little or a lot. You just do whatever you can. It's kind of what I'm thinking. So I'm just challenging how I feel. Now I'm going the other direction. This is very challenging for balance. No question about it. And then one more. Whew, I'm going to fall out of this one. Yeah, much more challenging for sure. Okay, that's a good one to practice. All right, let's just move through a bit more of the shoulder stuff. We're going to lift the shoulders up and down a few times, just up and down, just the arm. Lock those elbows straight so all the movement is happening with the upper arm bone in the shoulder socket. And then we're going to lift up, send it back and around and forward. So nice big shoulder circle. No rib cage movement if you can manage to not move your rib cage. And then other direction. Good stuff. Okay, and we'll just go back to neutral. Okay, we're going to lift the arms up now and just let's move the fingers around a bit. So we're going to start to tap into this area here. So while you're doing this, I'm just going to chat about the complexity of this wrist joint. There's a whole bunch of bones that come in here from the hand to the forearm. It's really one of the most complex joints in our body. Make fists, open, close, open, close. And it has a great range of motion, but not like a lot of musculature, but small muscles, tiny connective tissue. So a lot of it a lot of us get pain in the wrist area, either from typing and even from doing push-ups, all kinds of stuff. Okay, bring the hands down. Just move the wrists around a little bit. But here's the thing. When we want to strike a golf ball, we are moving our body through various ranges of motion and various joints that are moving. It's not like you're moving, I mean, you are moving a stick, but the stick does not continue this way as a stick. It starts to have a whole bunch of this in it. So for people that are really strong through their shoulders and through their elbows and have weak wrists, well, the last point of the strike is right here at the wrist. So if you've got this and you don't have this, then all of this becomes useless. It's no different than the links on the chain. You can have the strongest chain in the world, and you got one weak link. In this case, if it's our wrist, then guess what? All this other great stuff that we've been doing, useless, because it doesn't transfer to here. And this has to be, it starts at the feet and it ends right here. Interesting, right? So this is something to do often to strengthen your wrists. You can also buy balls, you can have little weighted balls, all kinds of stuff, but I like to use the golf club, which I don't have with me there in the car. So I'm going to use a stick, a dowel in this particular case, to just demonstrate. Now what I do here, I also have a, do I have it here with me? Is it handy? No. I have one of those squeezing grip things that I use, and it's adjustable on the strength lever, and you can buy them at even Winners sells them for like $15 or $10, and it's just one of these little grip on a spring, and it's so good to create that strength in the hand for control as well. So The next level then is we get into the actual holding of a club. You can lift the arm up in this position, and let's just try and find some range of motion. So we turn, and when you're turning this way internally, do not do this. We're trying to avoid that, okay? So this is not happening. Range of motion should be a straight arm, turn, and then turn the other way without anything extra. Does not need. So just try and get through that vertical line if you can. And then we get into this horizontal line, or maybe even more. For some people, they've got more range of motion, and you can play with that. And the arm is pressing out into that direction. That keeps the elbow straight. If it's a weak arm, then you're gonna, a whole bunch of movement. That's again where we lose that connection. So you're trying to make this multi-jointed piece into this by not moving it at all except rotation. Okay? And this matters too, what happens here. We want it straight, no movement whatsoever. And then we can start to play. So let's take the stick, in this case, my stick out. And then if you have got a club, now some of them are heavier than this, so you can play with that as well. You start to do these curls. And the movement, again, you're trying to really just isolate this one spot. So nothing else is moving. The arm is straight. You can even tuck the left arm behind you. And then you just do this flexion and extension in this orientation, and this is also going to create strength in your shoulder just to be able to leave the arm hanging in this position. Okay, bend, take a quick break. We're going to switch, do the other one. Tuck the right arm back or use it as a placeholder somewhere where you can find a nice balanced position versus just standing, okay? So either here or tuck it behind you, more of a shoulder type or a soldier type stand. And then we do, let's check this out. How far can I go before this kicks in? Tight. Oh, tight, tight, tight. Oh, tight, tight, tight. Oh boy, can we? All right. Now the other one, I was able to go vertical. Look at this. This is all I got. Huh, and this is my good shoulder. Wow. How far can you go? Arms straight, no funky movement here. Remember, we're trying to mimic a stick. Now, I've had surgery on both shoulders over the years. So I can't even really straighten my arm completely. Wow, look at that. And so here's the other thing. Just drop it down for a second, take a quick break. That's all well and fine in this position. What about all these other positions? It's mind-boggling. Try the other side again. Tuck the left arm or just have the hand there. Go to the side, 90 degrees. Now let's, whoops, not hitting the wall, ceiling. Now go a little bit higher and do the same thing. What is that range of motion like? Different for sure, because it's a different angle in the socket. And then we go the other way. Notice me leaning, yeah? Wow. So my body is just automatically compensating because my brain is saying, turn it all the way, and my body's trying to figure out to do that. So, okay, drop that. So I lost my train of thought. I'm gonna go back to the other side and try this without hitting the ceiling. So I go straight arm. I'm doing this practice with you at the same time. So I'm focusing on what I'm doing. Okay, now this range of motion, internal rotation, how far can I go? And then external rotation at this angle. Wow. And then I just try and really take it, and then go to the other side. So I'm actively working to create that strength in these various ranges of motion. And then of course the other one is here, and then you can also come forward. So we're going to try that one. Forward is also very common. So from here, you can be here, you can be up a little higher, you can be here. In this case, we're going forward and at 90 degrees. So we've got all these like 90-degree angles, right? And then we do that turning this way and then turning this way. Okay, let's switch to the other side. So left arm goes straight out. And then we move into range of motion here. Let's see what that feels like. Not too bad for me. Okay, then we take a quick break. All right, the next series that you can also do for strengthening purposes, anytime where gravity is involved is going to help. Now, you can also do this seated. So if standing up after a while is just like you don't want to do it, or you can do this while you're watching TV. I'll just try, actually, if I sit on my couch. I do this at the gym, is I hold the barbell like this, just resting my forearms down, and then I just do this down and up, flexion and extension, and I try and do it really slowly. You do a few of these with some weights and you'll feel it like right here. It's some pretty great stuff, and it just strengthens the whole area. And then we can also do with palms down, right? So palms up, palms down. You can do it with a club, without a club. You can use weights, you can use dumbbells, you can use barbells. Individual weights actually are kind of more fun because each hand does its own thing. So these are all really good. And then, of course, holding straight. Come back to this video and watch the video and just have a look at these, and then you can turn it this way. Okay, good stuff. Okay, we're going to move on. So that's the wrists. I highly encourage you to spend a little extra time on the wrists, especially if you've never done anything with them. So just kind of give that a try. The other thing that's really good I found, particularly when we're out getting ready to either hit some balls or just actually go and play, is I see a lot of people doing like weird kind of stretches, like they're about to go jogging or something. So I always find that kind of interesting. Rotational movements are super important because that is really the key in what we're doing into a lot of the upper body movements. So we're separating the top from the bottom, and we want to be able to create this nice fluid type of a movement. And so rotation is a key for loosening up. So don't do any of those weird stretches. It's kind of like, I don't know, like I said, you're not going jogging. So it's more about the rotation. What we did at the beginning, where you had your feet together, and then we were doing those circles, those big body circles. It may look kind of weird, but it's okay. Who cares what it looks like, as long as you're saving your body and you can play without being injured. Those big sweeping circles, while your core is controlling the movement, is absolutely one of the best movements you can do just to warm up, just for a couple minutes. You do a few in one direction, a few in the other direction, switch the arms, do a couple. The whole thing's going to be like 4 or 5 minutes. Another good thing to do is grab the club. Now this is a dowel, so it's a little bit longer than a typical club. Is it? Yeah, of course. That's pretty long. And you can actually use the dowel to work the shoulders. So if my arms are straight, I'm using one hand, in this case the right hand, the bottom hand, as the dominant controller of the stick. So in other words, I'm pressing up with the right hand to try and open the left shoulder. So it's as if I'm lifting my arm, but I'm pushing it up with the stick. So I'm actually allowing the left arm to kind of be heavy. I'm resting it on the stick, and the right hand arm are pushing it up. And then I'm just going to start to rotate. Because if I try and do this on rotation on my own, I probably couldn't do it. I probably don't have the strength to do it. But with this stick or the club, use the bottom to push up. Now keep your head down. Look at this movement. And come back to neutral. And then this time, the left hand becomes dominant. The right arm just kind of relaxes a little bit, but don't let it buckle. So keep it fairly straight. Relax it just so you can still keep it straight. And then let's do the rotation on the other side. So you are assisting your body, essentially. So already I can tell I'm tight on my left hip. So I want to just spend a little extra time here, because I feel it in this left hip. When I do this action right here, it's gumming up on me a little bit. So this type of movement, this type of practice really helps to just kind of figure that out. Because if I'm tighter here, then I'm right-handed. So that means that my backswing is not going to be as efficient as my strike and follow through, because I've got much more fluidity here. So this is what we're trying to discover. Make the best movements that we possibly can with what we got. So if I know that this is constricted and no amount of stretching here at the moment is going to get rid of this, then I know that if I'm trying to attempt a real turn type movement, this whole lower section is going to move on me. And if I'm not aware of that, I'm going to leak, lose power, and lose a whole bunch of stuff. I'll essentially just lose my posture. And so this is where our physiotherapy team comes in. So right away, I just discovered this on myself. So next time I go, I'm going to have this spot looked at and say, hey, when I did this exercise, I really felt it here, not so much here. So this is a great tool for $2. Like, it's amazing. So then you just kind of play with it. So pick one hand to be dominant. It's the one that's pressing up in a way. Do this type of movement, and then you can switch and just start to do some circles, like any kind of circle. Up and around. And there's no right or wrong way. Try and keep the elbows fairly locked if you can. Even from here, you can swing one up this way and swing up this way. Let's bring it up to neutral position. How about turning to the right? Come back. Now I'm going to come back to center. Now you're going to come a little lower. So again, we were here. That's okay. One range of motion. Here's another one. Lower. What does this feel like? Now, you're not going to get as much turn here. Why? Because the arms are lower and we're asking the lumbar spine, the lower back, to turn. It's not built that way. The turn happens, the rotation of the spine is mid-level. So this is a reduced range of motion. But it is part of the golf swing, because it goes from the lower spine up through the middle spine. So we start here. Really make this as great as you can. And a little tip, let's just stop here, coach's tip here for a second. This is a crucial demonstration of how we separate the upper body from the lower body. So we don't want this lower body turning when we don't want it to. When we want it to, fine, but not when we don't want it to. So right now, I do not want it to. I want to make this turning as much as I possibly can from the upper body. So here's what's going to happen. With the stick in this lower position, excuse me, when the upper body goes to the left, I want you to think about pressing your left hip to the right. It actually will not move, but it will stabilize that hip space. So think about it right here. We're going to turn the upper body to the left, but in your mind's eye, I want you to press this through body action to the right. Okay, so here's what it's going to look like from here. And the idea is to keep these hip points pointing forward. So I take the stick, arm straight, and I start to turn. As soon as I do this, I feel the resistance here. I'm actually my body's trying to do this, so I am forcing it the other way. Does that make sense? Without doing this. So straight, don't do this, straight. A whole bunch of compensations happen. Otherwise, we try and get this neutral position. Then I go to the left. Now, when I go to the right, that right hip goes to the left. And then I get a stronger lower body rotation, for sure. So play with that, and you can just press into the hands to get that arm back. Yeah, you can't do this on your own. This is the best with the stick. All right, back to neutral position. Now we're going to lift up a little bit higher. This time we're going to move through mid-back. When I go to the right, that right hip goes the other way. And actually a great way to even try and come to center, send your left hip to the right. Now take the arms to the left until the legs straighten out. There we go. That's a good one. And come back to center. Let's try it again. Okay. Send your right hip to the left side. So you're kind of pressing it forward. Yeah? The hip just goes forward a little bit. Go forward to the right, and then take the arms to the right until the legs start to straighten. That's when you're getting into that neutral pelvic position, and then keep the arms going. Okay, one more to this side. So get that left hip forward. You can bend the knee a little bit, it's fine. And then as you press the right hand into the left, there we go, neutral. And then I try and go for that alternate rotation, and then back to center. Wow, that's really good. I just worked through some of that with you guys. Okay, let's do one more, and then we'll do a couple more, and then we'll wrap up. All right, we're going to lift the arms up high. And now we're going to work through this range of motion. So the feet go a little bit wider again. So keep that right hip going forward, and then you're going to go back this way. Try and get as much rotation, very little. My right shoulder blade is hitting the left, and I've got no room here, but I am going to try and just accentuate a little bit more. Come back to center, left hip a little bit more to the right, and then come back. Out. Wow, tight. And then I hold it in a point of tension. So time under tension should be at least 45 seconds to a 60. Back to neutral. Whew, okay, right hip a little bit to the left. Take the arms to the right. And then last one, and let it go. Okay, good stuff. Okay, let's get into the hips a little bit today as well. Also really good for our range of motion. I'm going to come down to a modified lunge position. And from here, let's just keep the hands, you can keep your hands at your waist actually, and just kind of move forward and back a little bit. Let's find out what the range of motion is through this space. If you sit a lot, then this might be a little bit tight in the right upper thigh. So let's just kind of hold that for a sec. Maybe 30 seconds or so, and stretch it out. The pelvis going forward. And my left foot's pretty far out in front. So again, I'm trying to get this 90-degree bend in the leg here. In the front leg. Okay, now we're going to sit back, and you can bring your hands to the floor. Maybe we can take the left toes up and just stretch out the back of the left leg. Do the lower back as well, a little bit. Again, come on forward, and just go one more into the right upper thigh. Stretch that out. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of rotation from this position. This also allows to keep the hips in a neutral position. I'm going to bring the left hand down just beside the left foot, so the toes and fingers are pointing forward. The forearm is into my shin. So the forearm and upper arm resting against my shin, and then I'm just going to lift the right arm up, try and get a rotation in this direction. So up and down a couple of times. Up, open it up, then come down. And one more. Okay, this time what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do an opposite turn rotation. The right hand comes down where if I was standing, where my right foot would be, and then I'm going to do a rotation in the other direction. And again, you may have quite a bit of range of motion or not very much at all. So this is what we're trying to test here with this leg position, and then turning the rib cage up, and you come down to neutral, and we just cycle through a few of those movements to see how far can you turn your rib cage, turn the breastbone to the side wall. One more, and up, and down. Okay, good stuff. And we'll just switch the legs up now. So we're going to bring I'll turn my body on the other side. Yeah, let's get some space between the right knee and left knee and the right foot. And then we just kind of move forward. See what that feels like. And I'm going to go back and get some space here, so I get a fairly decent stretch of the back of the right leg. And then you come forward one more time, and then we press forward again. If you're sitting for long periods, really good here for the sitting muscles. Alright, now I'm going to come down and take the right hand beside the right foot and the right arm just resting, leaning against the right leg. And so what I do here actually in this position is the right arm is pressing into the right leg and the right leg is pressing back into the arm, and that keeps everything nice and balanced. And then I'm just going to turn again, turn the chest, lift the arm and try and turn that upper body as much as you can. Come down to neutral position. We just cycle through that. And I'm cramping up a bit on the right side, in the right hip. So interesting that we're in lunge position, we're open here, I'm turning, and then I'm cramping. So if you are cramping, you just come out of it, readjust your body, and come back. I have a much nicer range of motion, I notice here. I shouldn't say nicer, just greater. If it's nicer, it's just greater. So more movement for me here. I'm going to do one more. Yeah, this feels really good. I was much tighter doing it on the other side. So again, also good for me to know that I've got more range of motion doing this than I did it on the other side. How is that going to affect my swing? Left hand comes down, hips go forward, and then rotation in the other way. And here too, I feel like I have a much greater sense of rotation than I did on the other side. One more. Good stuff. This time I'm going to come back and bring my knees wide. I'm going to just move into a bit of a hip opener. Legs go back with the feet turned in. So if you notice, my feet are turned in. And I bring my hands to the floor, sit the hips back or the pelvis back until you feel that point of tension. You want to just hold there and breathe. Now you can come down onto your forearms if you like. I actually like staying up on my extended arms here, and I just sit back and try and get a little bit of opening. And you can adjust the knees to be wider. This is quite an extreme hip opener, but really, really good. You can also come forward a little bit. You can make some circles if you're really tight. You go right back into it. Adjust the position if you need to. If the feet are really wide out, it's much more intense. If the heels are closer together, it's a little bit less intense. You can sit back a bit more. So just figure out these various ranges of motion. You do want to go fairly deep and hold it there for a few moments. So figure out how you can keep the knees apart by bringing the hips back and then just feeling that opening into the both hip spaces. And then come on out, move around a little bit. And just some circles. It's another one of those mortar pestle type sockets, but very complicated as well. And then we go back. The entire body is just so complicated. Back and back and back. And we sit here for again about another 60 seconds or so. Just get moving some of those fluids around, especially if we haven't done this in a while. It's good to move the lubrication around a bit. And then I come forward and come out of that position. Bring the legs together. And that is it, gang, for today.